Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of the New Breed Podcast. Hey, everybody, I am one of your co-hosts. I am the old school Browns fan. I'm Mike Mitchell, and this is...
I am Grady Mitchell. I am another co-host of this New Breed Podcast, and I'm a New Breed of Browns fan.
Absolutely. So as we were talking about what we were going to talk about today, our production manager here, Grady Mitchell, decided that we are going to talk about our stone cold lead pipe locks of the week for this weekend's matchups in the AFC and NFC Championship games. Do you want to go first?
I don't know.
Or do you want me to go first? Or do we want to do AFC and then NFC? How do you want to do that?
Yeah. All right. So let's start off with the AFC prediction.
AFC predictions. Boom. Here we go.
Am I going first?
Sure, you can go first.
Well, Chiefs-Bills.
Chiefs-Bills.
It's going to be close. I saw that Patrick Mahomes was going under concussion protocol, but I'm pretty sure he'll start still. So I'm going to go 32-27 Bills.
Ooh, 32-27 Bills. I think that Patrick Mahomes is already kind of off the concussion protocol. I think he's already practiced. He had a full practice today.
But you forgot about one of his problems on Sunday against the Browns. He also had a toe injury.
I don't think that's a problem.
Also
It's not going to be.
Kind of affected his game.
Not by now. By now, it's not going to be a problem. He might re-aggravate it, but it's not going to be a problem for him. I don't think. I think in reality, I think that this matchup, it screams of Bills upset. I'm assuming, I haven't looked at any betting lines because I don't look at them, but I'm assuming that the Chiefs are a favorite. It's probably a tight favorite, 2.5, probably 3, maybe, I don't know. But I think the Bills' defensive secondary is designed to keep up with the attack, if you will, of the Chiefs. They have speed in the back end. They showed that off against the Ravens. And I think that Josh Allen and that Bills offense, they can put up points on the Chiefs defense. I know they can. Whether or not they're fully focused, fully in it, I don't know. But I hope. I've got it Bills 35, Chiefs 30 in a close game. I think it's going to be a bit more high scoring than we saw. But I thought that last week too. I thought it was going to be 38-35 Browns over the Chiefs. But that was way off because it was far low scoring, much more low scoring than I would have predicted. What do you think?
So, yeah, I agree with absolutely everything that you said. The Bills defense, they can handle. They're a top defense in the league, like one of the most underrated defenses in the league.
Statistically not great.
Well, they aren't the best, but they got good depth and good players in about every position. Their safeties are great. Their corners are great. They got a good linebacker in Terrell Edmonds, and their defensive line is not the greatest, but it still holds. And
I think it's going to be interesting to see. Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's been practicing. He's getting healthy. Is this offense going to switch gears a little bit, maybe run a little bit more on the Bills? If they can be successful, is that going to be enough to push them through back to the back-to-back Super Bowl appearance?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs are a favorite, but sure. I think it's going to be a definite close game, and both of us going with 5 points to the Bills. So
we didn't practice that. That wasn't pre-planned.
Yeah. We now you got me all messed up.
Do you want to move to the NFC?
I want to speak on the Chiefs.
Oh, speak on the Chiefs then.
Well, this guy here, he earlier in the season, he was like, "Oh, y'all should throw the ball on the Chiefs. Their secondary isn't that good." But this secondary is it's pretty good. Breland, Ward, Tyrann Matthew, it's pretty good. Dirty Dan, my man.
Let's not get started.
But I think that they could hold. Their defensive line is amazing. Frank Clark and Chris Jones, of course, being the stars of that defensive line. I don't really know what else to say. You want to go to the NFC now?
I think we can go to the NFC.
You start.
We got the Packers and the Buccaneers. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. This could be possibly better than the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
And it most likely will be. It will probably be more eventful than the Super Bowl because, I mean, I'm going with the Packers here on this one. I'm going to say 35-20. I think it's going to be a big lead. And then they're, like, not going to try after a bit because they have, like, a 21-point lead. And then they're just going to still put up 14 points on the board after that.
I am kind of biased. If I was not a Browns fan, I would probably be a Packers fan. My wife is a shareholder. She was born in Madison, Wisconsin, and she's a cheesehead to the end. I think that whatever we saw in that earlier matchup in Tampa, when Aaron Rodgers looked out of sync, I don't think that's going to be what you get this weekend. I think at home at Lambeau, everybody's talking about, well, Tom Brady's always played in the cold. And I'm like, yeah, but he's been down south too long. He's probably gotten a little soft by now. So he's not going to be, in my opinion, the same Tom Brady. The secondary in Green Bay is not quite how do I say it? They're not quite as known as the Saints, who they played last week. But I think they've been playing fantastic defense down the stretch. The Packers have been playing consistent defense and have really turned it around, especially since that Buccaneers game earlier in the season. And so I don't think that Tom Brady is going to be able to throw. Now, can they run the football on this Packers defensive front? I think they can. Will they? And if they can't, are they going to panic in their return to the pass? Possibly. But I think the Packers are going to win it. I think it's going to be 34-17. I don't think the Buccaneers put up too many points, especially in Lambeau. But I think the Packers are going to win it.
But, yeah, clearly Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are pretty dangerous guys out there. But I think the secondary with Jair Alexander, Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage, all those guys, I'm pretty sure that they can step up. And their run defense is quite exceptional. It's better than most teams in the league. I will say that.
It's good enough.
Yeah, it's good enough to beat them.
I think it's good enough. So your final two predictions. You have the Bills over the Chiefs.
Bills 32-27 over the Chiefs.
32-27 over the Chiefs, and you have
the Packers 35-20 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And I don't even remember what I just said 5 seconds ago. It's the age that's causing that problem. 35-30 Bills over the Chiefs, and then a 34-17 Packers over the Buccaneers wins. That's for Mike. And we'll follow up with our podcast next week and go over the reactions, who's in the Super Bowl and why and how. And I'm sure that'll be part of our next episode.
On Monday, yeah.
We'll sit down Monday, hash out what we've seen, what we've heard, and talk about what happened over the weekend.
Talk about who might win the Super Bowl.
And what could be considered newsworthy, I guess, to a little bit. So far this week, the Browns have signed 14 players to their reserve futures list. Most of these names actually were on the roster during the season at some point in time. Every one of these guys was on the practice squad at the end of the year, and I think it was a testimony to what we've had to go through as a team over this weird COVID season. But I think that the names on the list you've heard, you've seen, notably corner AJ Green, who had playing time, wide receiver Jamarcus Bradley, who actually had some, I think he caught a pass or two in the Jets game, quarterback Kyle Laletta, safety Elijah Benton. You then had Cameron Malvo, defensive end, Kyle Markway, to name a few. Montreal Meander, who was a linebacker, who actually was elevated and on the roster last Sunday. And one of my favorites, and I loved him in camp, and I'm still loving tackle Alex Taylor. I look for him to maybe make that jump next year to backup tackle. That way, if there's anything that happens to Jedrick Wills or Jack Conklin, this kid slides in. He's a physical specimen. I mean, he is a big, huge guy, athletic, and can move, and I really like that guy.
And we might talk about that later with free agency and Kendall Lamb.
Right.
Because he could be a good replacement for Kendall Lamb in that one tackle position.
Right.
Backup tackle position.
Speaking of free agents, and we said this on Monday's episode, this last episode, episode 1, we have a ton. There is a laundry list of guys, and I don't think we can sign them all. I look at the top of this list, and really I struggle to find how and why you couldn't sign these guys. We talked about it briefly. Give me your thoughts on Olivier Vernon. He's probably the most expensive one on this list at this point, just because he's a veteran. He's been around. His deal was big. I think they restructured that last year. But what are your thoughts on Olivier Vernon?
I don't know. We might be able to get something out of him. I mean, this year, he really stepped up when Myles Garrett was out. He really did step up in big games against the Giants, I think it was, when he had like a sack or two. And I mean, he's not bad, but I don't think we would sign him back. But I say that we would draft a edge rusher in the draft this year, in the 2022 draft.
2021.
2021.
But I think you're right. I think you're on the head on that one. He can still go, and he still has the skill set, still has the talent. But I don't know that we got the pocketbook to make it work. We do have cap space, probably still one of the biggest cap rooms around. But I don't know that I don't know that that's a wise move, especially you could, with that 26th pick, you could take a defensive end or edge rusher there. You could wait, take one in the second or third round. There's a lot of talent, and you could get younger at that position if possible. There's a lot of corners on here.
Yeah.
And I think pretty much every corner, maybe outside of Tavier Thomas, I think you got to re-sign Kevin Johnson, and you got to re-sign Terrence Mitchell. I really do. They played key roles this year. You're going to hope that you get Grady Williams back, and I don't know the extent of what's going on with his nerve issue in his shoulder. Andrew Berry in this week's press conference did not sound like he was worried about it. Maybe the offseason will do him wonders. I don't know. But you'll have Greedy, you'll have Terrence, you'll have Kevin, and then Denzel's going to come back. You can draft either again at that 26th pick or a second-round pick. You can take a corner that can help you with depth and youth and speed. To me, we talked a little bit about this, and I don't think we went this way, but in the back end of our defense, in the secondary, we do not have great speed. There wasn't a lot of great speed in that secondary. I think Carl Joseph, who's also on this list, I think he probably needs to get re-signed, number one, because Ronnie Harrison, who is talented, is not had a lot of years under his belt. Grant Delpit didn't even get to see the field this year. He'll be back. He probably improves your speed, but Carl Joseph is a talented veteran, obviously, with a pick in the divisional round last week. And I think that I would not re-sign Sendejo if you are looking to draft a safety to go along with Grant Delpit, Ronnie Harrison, and Carl Joseph. And I think that would fill out your safeties. You just re-sign Kevin Johnson, re-sign Terrence Mitchell, add them to the existing mix, plug in a draft pick. And I think your secondary is set. Now, the problem that we're going to have is linebacker. BJ Goodson, who is a big, strong man, as you said last week. BJ Goodson and Malcolm Smith are both on this list of free agents. Also, Tay Davis. Tay Davis did not see a lot of the field. But I think that linebacker is probably going to be a key part too. I don't know that you re-sign Malcolm Smith. I mean, he did finish with 72 tackles. But outside of that, I mean, he's not going to be Super Bowl MVP Malcolm Smith. He's probably not. He's 31, probably 32 by next season. I don't know when his birthday is. But I think that if you keep BJ, add him to that mix of Mac Wilson and Brand, or I can't even think of their names. I'm just totally drawing blanks. Mac Wilson and Jacob Phillips, who I thought showed all kinds of promise, especially hopefully in year two, he can take another jump. But I think you can really, really do yourself some justice and use that 26 pick probably and hopefully for a guy like Zaven Collins, who has the size and the speed and the athleticism. He would add a lot to that linebacker core. And I think, you would have pretty much all your pieces in place at that point. What's your thoughts on linebacker?
Yeah, definitely sign BJ Goodson back. I mean, you can go back to the last episode. I clearly explained it there. Big, strong man, field general. And he's just great. I mean, honestly, he really took a big role this year coming in with his first year with the Browns and really just stepped up in a big role for the Cleveland Browns linebacking core.
So two others that I really wanted to talk about. One is getting your thoughts on Larry Ogunjobi.
Sign him back. That's all I have to say. He's great. He's a great run stopper. So is Sheldon Richardson. He is great at pressuring the quarterback. But yeah, he's just great as a defensive tackle. And honestly, if we don't re-sign him, then whoever signs him is lucky because he's a great defensive tackle.
I think Larry Ogunjobi is one of the most underrated members of our defense. I really do. I think that he tends to get overshadowed because, there's the Myles Garretts and there's the Sheldon Richardsons of the world. And he's that guy that's doing the dirty work so that those guys can stay clean, linebackers can stay clean and make plays. I think you definitely want to keep him around. Okay, another one of our favorites, Porter Gustin. He's going to be a free agent. And what are your thoughts on Porter Gustin?
I mean, he's a great replacement for when Myles Garrett went out because obviously he was struggling after he got COVID with his breathing. So Porter Gustin really slid into that role of the backup of Myles Garrett really well. And I say that you re-sign him as we saw with the pick against the Steelers. That was great. The way that he just
who didn't have a turnover against the Steelers? Really?
Well, we had a perfect game on defense. Every single one of our categories of positions had a pick.
Yeah, it's true.
It was Sione Takitaki, Porter Gustin, MJ Stewart, and who was the last one?
Was Carl?
No, it wasn't Carl Joseph. It was somebody else.
Ronnie? No. I don't remember.
I don't remember, but I know that there was a safety who had a pick that game. There was 4 picks that game, and all of them were different positions. And we could have had the perfect game because if Baker would have ran for a touchdown, then we would have had a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown.
Rushing and a rushing.
Rushing
rushing.
quarterback run touchdown.
Sure.
So, yeah.
It was definitely, I think, the win against the Steelers in the wild card round was one that I will not forget for a long time, because we've never won. We don't win at Heinz Field. It's just not something that we do, and I think that is something that we've improved. We got better as the year went. I'll bring up a question for you, and I saw this online somewhere. And I think I know where you stand on this, but I want to get your thought. Maybe I'll give my thought. But one of the things that I've seen floating around is that our offense is better without OBJ, and that Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback without OBJ. What are your thoughts?
Statistically, yes. Baker played better 2 seasons ago than he played last season. But, I think that wasn't really his fault. I think that was mostly the coaching staff's fault. But, I mean, OBJ, he's a different guy. He's got speed on him. He's really agile, and he can catch just about anything. Him and Jarvis have a good bond. So, I say we keep him because he really is he's really a difference maker on that offense. Jarvis Landry, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashard Higgins, all those guys are good backups, but I think Odell Beckham is just a talented guy. I mean, although we don't put up the best stats with him, he really has key moments in those games though. So, but I say if we do not get rid of him, we got to target other receivers as well, because most of the time he tries to throw it to OBJ, but we still got to keep that screen pass play as with the running backs, as well as a tight end screen that we saw.
Right.
That worked really well against the Chiefs.
Yep.
So I say if we just keep that same offense and that same mentality that we had in the playoffs, then I say we could go back to the playoffs and maybe even go to the Super Bowl next year.
I think it's definitely a possibility. I don't agree that Baker is a better quarterback without OBJ. I don't agree with that at all. I think what you saw, and I've heard it commented before, that Baker's turn at getting better at quarterback was after the Bengals game, the one in, I think, week 6 in Cincinnati. Here's my take. Number one, you have a brand new coach and a brand new offensive scheme. You have brand new pieces for the most part. A lot of them were somewhat similar. You had a new left tackle. There's new terminologies. There's new things that are happening. There's new plays in the playbook. I mean, it's a turnover, and it's another turnover and more turnover that these players are having to struggle with and struggle through. What you saw in those first 6 weeks was, at least the first 4 weeks, that was their preseason. So they were still learning plays, learning the offense, learning how to do things. And it was about week 6 where you saw it kind of clicked for Baker Mayfield.
But
It kind of he took that next step, but in that same vein, he kind of had to, because now there's no OBJ that can run a jet sweep for a 65-yard touchdown, right? You don't have that in that moment. So he had to put a lot of pressure on himself. And I think that in those first 5-6 weeks, he was pressuring, he was pressing to get OBJ the ball, and sometimes it wasn't there. He's out of the game now, so now he doesn't have that, and he finally found that rhythm of let's get it to the guy that's open and let's let them make a play. And the more that the season went on, the further it went, and I'm telling you, throw that Jets game out the window. You can't get rid of all your receivers and talk to a guy for the first time in the locker room and expect him to be on the same page with you. So I think the rest of the games that he played in after that, Baker, I'm saying he really had a better command of the offense, a better idea of what Kevin Stefanski wanted to do. And it showed. It absolutely showed. It came through. Sometimes it didn't look as good as others. And even in the game against Kansas City, it still wasn't quite polished. There were still moments of, right? I went back to watching some of it, and we got the ball back, and we ran 3 plays and had to punt. And it was just the worst looking series of plays. There was a screenplay that really didn't evolve and didn't really work. There was another pass that was kind of, and it looked like we were not quite in sync. Like we weren't quite able to put together what we had put together before. And so I think a healthy OBJ is good for this team, assuming that Baker doesn't change his mindset and try to force the ball to OBJ.
But
take what the offense is giving you and the defense is giving you.
Yeah, I agree. But as he said, you got to understand that Baker and Odell were both learning this brand new offense.
It's true.
So you can't just put all the pressure on Baker Mayfield. It's those receivers and linemen and running backs too.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible that not only could they learn new things and learn the new system, they had to deal with COVID. They missed a lot of practices. OTAs and training camp were not like they were. Everything was different. Of course, every team had to fight that, but it was a totally different year. And man, to go to the playoffs, to win a wild card game against the Steelers in Heinz Field, I can't say enough about the coach of the year, in my opinion, Kevin Stefanski.
He did win Coach of the Year.
Yes, I wasn't going to say it because I don't know the exact award, but the Football Writers Association something Coach of the Year award. Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski did win that. So, what else you got for me tonight? Is that going to be it?
Well, you were talking about Odell. I think the receiving core. The game against the Jets, that was rough. But name a guy under Donovan Peoples-Jones that can go out there and play a game that will change our season. There's really not that, like, the 5th wide receiver. Like, because if Odell goes down again, and we don't re-sign Hollywood Higgins, who is that next guy up? Or Cotterell Hodge. Who is that next guy up? Because we still have wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones and Jarvis Landry, but there's still another receiving spot on that team. And if we keep Austin Hooper, which he made that great catch against the Chiefs, I'd say our passing game, Harrison Bryant and David Njoku.
Yep.
Our tight ends have also changed a lot too over this season. New Austin Hooper, we had to he came in, he played really well, blocked really well. And David Njoku, I saw this, and he changed from being that not good, not blocking tight end, kind of more of a catching guy. He turned into a really good blocking tight end this year, and I really like that out of David Njoku, which he was fighting for that number 2 tight end spot, and he has now clearly earned it this year by his production.
I think so. Probably for our next episode, we'll probably take a look at attractive free agents to sign. Maybe between now and then, we'll roll through a potential mock draft and see where that takes us, and see what happens next.
Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen next season. Is COVID still going to be a problem? Who's going to get it? Because if a guy like Baker Mayfield goes down, then I honestly think that this whole offense will be shut down and we won't be able to do anything.
Case Keenum will come in and save the day. What are you talking about?
But Baker Mayfield has that whole different vibe. He is a way different quarterback than Case Keenum is. And
I agree.
I think Baker has done what Drew Lock hasn't. Drew Lock has had to work with the Broncos. He's not a bad quarterback. He just needs to learn the quarterback position in the NFL, which Baker did in these past 4 years now, 4 years.
But I think that Drew is where Baker was in year 2. He was on his second coordinator, got rid of one of them in the middle of the season, and then the third, the next thing he knows, the coach is gone. There's a whole new coach. Whole new system comes in. I mean, this will be the first off season that Baker Mayfield doesn't have to get to know a new coach and a new playbook.
I saw that. Yeah, this is the first
Isn't that crazy?
off season that Baker Mayfield hasn't had to have a new coach.
Yeah.
And the Browns team. And I think Baker Mayfield has genuinely really matured from his college days. He is such a mature guy now. He's still got that vibe and the hilariousness, whatever you want to do to describe him. But he's definitely a guy who is kind of that mature guy who will talk to the team about their problems and just, help them out with their problems.
I think you're right. What else? Is that it?
I think that's about it.
That's about it from us. I think we're going to set it up. Don't be afraid to look for us. You can find us now on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts,
Pandora,
and Podbean. You should be able to find us just about anywhere. Hopefully you're watching these videos on YouTube. I know we're not the prettiest individuals, so maybe you do want to just listen to the podcast. You can do that too. But we're going to try to do a Monday, Saturday set. So hopefully Monday, again, we're going to talk about attractive free agents to sign. We're going to talk about possibly looking at a mock draft scenario, who's out there that we could take and why, and
the big Super Bowl matchup.
Who's going to be in the Super Bowl?
Which I think will be the Bills and the Packers.
I think we've both agreed that we're going to say it's going to be the Bills and the Packers. It's just whether or not it is going to be the Bills and the Packers.
Yeah.
It could be the State Farm Bowl. Jake from State Farm is going to have to choose which sideline he's going to stand on. Is he going to go with the Patrick Price or the Rodgers rate? He'll have to figure that out. So,
you can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok now.
He's got the TikTok rolling. We've got Twitter and Instagram accounts rolling. Check us out.
Start uploading on TikTok now.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Talking about the Browns free agency and maybe some mock drafts.
There you go. You can do that. Absolutely. Well, friends, I hope that you've had a good time hanging out with us, and I hope that you'll come back and listen to us again. Hopefully, the broadcast gets better. The content will get better. The more we do this, the better it's going to get. Leave us a comment. Leave us a review. Tell us we're hacks and we stink. Whatever. Just get out there and listen to us, and hopefully we can do something here in the future, and we'll get more and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can check us out. Guys, thank you so much, and thanks for listening to the New Breed Podcast.
Still not barking.
Still not barking.
Still not barking. All right.